And we're live. All
In
right. I know, great. Oh, it seems like it was never going to come. This week's been a long week for me, but
it's been a fast week for me. It was like
lucky.
weekend, and here we are, Thursday.
That's nice.
I don't know,
Good for you.
I guess.
So it's Charlotte and Jess.
That's right.
Jessica.
I like Jess.
I know.
I prefer.
Okay.
I'm like,
Do you?
I condensed my name now. I'm
Good.
just Jess.
Well, I'm not going to call myself Char.
Okay.
And you shouldn't either. You probably could, but
I do.
So it's Charlotte and Jessica. We're here at Aragon Wine Market in Pensacola, Florida.
That's right.
Thank you guys for joining us. We have people that come from all across the world to join us, and so we're super excited that little Pensacola, Florida, is getting so many great views and great watches and all that stuff.
It's a cool change of process. Somebody commented earlier, like, virtual wine tasting. How do you do that? I was like, well, actually, it's pretty amazing.
It's been really pretty neat.
Yes.
And I know in Pensacola, not to bring everybody down, but in Pensacola, the COVID cases have been rising, as I think they have across the country, unfortunately. So, so this is our new norm for now. We're going to make this, we've decided, because we were trying to get the wine tastings back to in-house or outside at least during the holiday months, but we've decided that it's probably going to be best just to wait till January and start the year fresh and see where we go from there. So
Absolutely.
that's that. But speaking of holidays, we have the holidays coming up. We're super excited.
We are.
Because Thanksgiving is
It's my favorite meal of the year. If anybody knows me, I love to eat, and I'm so excited.
Well,
my
it's-
mom makes this mac and cheese once a year. That has like
why
six.
should we make it once a year?
Well, she doesn't only, but like
Once a year.
she only
it's a sure
commits
thing.
to making it
Yeah.
once a year. Any other time of the year, and it's an added bonus.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
7 types of cheese in it.
Oh, that sounds.
It's twice
Can you bring me
baked.
some?
I can.
Okay, wait.
She melts all the cheeses together and creates like a cream sauce, and then pours it in the macaroni pan so it absorbs in the
Oh
noodles.
man.
Kind of magic.
All right, I might not have to get that recipe.
Yeah.
But so it is 2 weeks till
Just
turkey.
low fat.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
nobody cares at Thanksgiving. 2 weeks till turkey.
That's right.
So we do have Thanksgiving boxes.
2 weeks.
I know, 2 weeks till turkey. So we have our Thanksgiving boxes that we wrote together. We got some great stuff in them. Oh my gosh, I think
So
you're going to be
good.
really excited about them. So
The
I will-
objective. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that the one thing I will say is that it's a mixed case, which is great for most people for Thanksgiving, because you're going to have some whites, you're going to have a bubbly, you're going to have a rosé, and mostly reds. I did have somebody come in and say, you know what, are you doing in the mixed case this year? I really just want reds. And I said, well, we'll customize something for you.
Yeah.
So we're pulling stuff for her, just solid reds. So that's always another option. Although I do think, since it's Thanksgiving and you're having friends over and family, it's probably best to get a wider
The
array.
objective, that's what I was going to interrupt you with saying, is the objective of the Thanksgiving box was to accommodate everyone in your family, to
Yeah.
accommodate the people that prefer the whites, the people that prefer the reds,
Yeah.
and, you know, to give you that option of the bubbles right there so you can enjoy a great starter for your palate.
Right.
And so that was really the objective. But we can always, and this is something that goes around year round, not just the holidays, not just
Right.
Thanksgiving. We can always customize a box for you.
Absolutely.
I need a box. I need, a case of mixed reds. We've got you
Yeah.
every day of the week.
Yeah.
I want under $20 a bottle, case of mixed reds.
Yeah.
We've got you every day of the week. We want some higher end reds. We're going to have this party, or we want to do a special order of a case.
Well,
We can certainly
we can
accommodate that as
definitely,
well.
and that reminds me that there are a couple of special reds in the box, which I believe Biale is one of them.
It
That's what
is
we're doing
indeed.
tonight. So one of the wines that we're trying tonight is also going to be in the Thanksgiving box. So
Yeah.
if you didn't get your bottle, which I hope you did, if you didn't, it's going to be in the Thanksgiving box as well. So
Yeah.
the other thing is you will save money on these boxes. We do a 15% discount instead of a 10%. And it's quite a savings when you,
Yeah.
I don't know how it turns out to be that much,
It's
but
a
it just
solid-
does. So
It's a huge discount. I
it's
was
like
like,
$50.
are we
I was
sure
like,
we want to do this?
I
It's
know.
like, yes, we do. It's like
I was like,
$50 off.
that's a lot. But, and also, the other thing that's important to mention, because we're going to do it next, can't let you know what we're doing next week. But Beaujolais Nouveau is coming. It's going to be Beaujolais Nouveau next Thursday. And so
I have no idea what this means, and I'm so excited about it because
it's
the
been
countdown is among us. Yes,
it's a huge tradition. It's been a huge tradition in France, of course, and then it got popular in the United States maybe in the 80s. Kind of fell out of favor because they were bringing a lot of less expensive, not so good stuff. But it's coming back with a vengeance, and it has been, I'd say, in the last, I don't know, 7 years. We're getting some really good Beaujolais, and so you can call and reserve yours now. We've already got people calling in saying, "Hey, save me a bottle of," or actually a case.
Weeks ago, someone called and
ago,
said, "I need to put in my pre-order for several cases of the Beaujolais," and I was
Yeah.
like, "I need to make sure that we're gonna have that much," and did, of course. But
we do.
it was awesome.
We're
It's an excitement that I love to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were super excited about that. So what we're doing tonight is how this works is, and everybody probably knows, but we're hoping that there's some new people. And I see Robert Biale Wines loves Thanksgiving, and Alan Keys is saying hello too. So thanks, guys. How this works is that hopefully you've gotten your bottle of Biale wines. We're doing Robert Biale tonight. We'll let you know what we're doing next week at the end of this broadcast, and you'll have a full week to come out and get your bottle of wine. We'll have we have David and
The
David
coach.
and Coach and Fix going to be joining us today, and you can ask them questions. We encourage you to ask questions. The wines that we're doing tonight are delicious. The Biale wines have a long history in California, and
cool.
it's such an interesting story. And I don't want to give it away because I know that I probably couldn't tell the story nearly as well as Coach.
Yeah.
I
think that's probably been one of the best change of processes for us in this COVID new normal of how we navigate things. We want to be able to provide you the education and the story behind these beautiful wines. And by doing it virtually, it gives us an opportunity to reach out to these winemakers and their leading team members from all over the country.
Yeah.
As many of our customers have seen, we've been in France with Henri Bourgeois. We've been in Argentina with La Madrid. We've had these opportunities to talk to Julie Johnson, that as a female winemaker in the industry is, just like an icon. And so we're really able to talk to all these people, and included in that, I just wanted to tell the story. I literally got an email signed the other day from Robert Biale, thanks, Bob. And it was like,
as we call him,
no big deal. Robert Biale just signed an email to me, Bob. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so the direct knowledge from these winemakers and these people, these coaches, these salespeople that are their leading team members from all over the world, all over the country. And this direct knowledge is like amazing to have it. Not that Michael Fix is not an amazing person, knowledgeable.
He's the brains behind this.
He's the brains, the mover, and the shaker behind it.
He makes this happen.
It's awesome to be able to connect with these people to tell the full scope of the story. So without further ado, here we are with David Todd from Biale Vinyards. So we're going to add you and Michael Fix. Hello.
Hi, guys.
How are you guys doing? Cheers.
So good. How are you?
Hola. Nice to be out of the office.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, this looks a beautiful area where you are. The last time I saw you, you were in front of a chicken coop.
Yeah, we're going to visit the chicken coop.
Awesome.
I like the coop.
Well, Dave, I know you've been with Biale Wines for about 17 years. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started in the business and about the Biale Vinyards?
Absolutely. So I started working with Biale before the winery was built. The operation was out of Robert's dad's garage, Aldo Biale. I was working for a startup wine shipping company, and I brought the Biales on. When we sold, I got a call from Robert and David and asked if I would come out and come work for them or apply for a job, so to speak. So I show up not really knowing too much about the Biales in a suit and tie And I walk in, and they're like, they're in the garage. And I walk in, and there's Aldo Biale sitting in a chair with his shirt open, belly hanging out, covered in dirt. Bob's right next to him, clothed, covered in dirt. Clementina, Bob's mom, comes down. She says, I made you some frittata. And I said, where do I sign?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, so Aldo has been around for a long time. Is that correct?
Aldo passed in 2009.
Okay.
Yes.
But so I'll tell you all about that story and the reason for Coach working in such a small office. So all the guys in 2002 quit their day jobs and focused solely on Robert Biale Vinyards. And it was basically the four partners and me and one more. And one of the owners was David. So to avoid confusion, they called me Coach because I coached the local high school here for 15 years, boys and girls varsity. I coached Dave Pramick's both his daughters. I helped start the first ever women's college soccer program at Solano. Did that for 8 years, all while working in the morning. So
that makes a lot of sense. At the beginning of the week, whenever we were establishing the broadcast and I'm emailing the link to download the platform and get prepared for this week, I literally reached out to Fix and said, like, the David from Robert Biale, that's who we're going to be talking to. And it was an exciting moment of understanding, the separation of who you were and who one of the initial winemakers were, and just understanding, as a coach, I think that comes with something that's beautiful as an education standpoint. And that's really what we all are about here, is understanding like the why behind the wine and understanding the story behind, and the coaching aspect of what a coach is, brings a wholesome family element to it. And so I loved understanding that I wasn't going to be speaking to the David, but which was overwhelming at first. I was like, let me talk to the coach first before I talk to the owner of the team, right? So we're so happy to have you with us today.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Definitely. So one of the coolest things that when I was reading everything, and I have used this, and I think we're starting with the basic black today. So
starting with black chicken.
Starting with the black chicken today. And I definitely want you to tell this story, but I've been flouting it and toting it in our social media.
We all have
because I think it's so
many
cool.
years. I have for many a years.
Yeah,
But my version of the story is probably not as accurate as your version of the story. So if you can tell us the story
definitely
of how the black chicken evolved, and tell us about the days of prohibition.
Definitely.
Well, that's where the story gets a little skewed, and the one thing I do love about the black chicken story is everybody has their own version of it, and so you're going to get to hear mine. But I'll tell you about the Biale family in general. They immigrated from Piemonte, Italy, in the early 1900s, looking for work. Robert's grandfather Pietro found work during the Prohibition at a vineyard on Mount Veeder called Greer Ranch. Now, Greer Ranch is now, I believe, Yates family vineyard. They are the owners of the property now. Robert's father, Aldo, was born up at that vineyard. When Pietro made enough money, he moved his small family down to the valley floor, about 1.5 miles from where this winery sits. And he did what a lot of the Italians did at that time. They planted vineyards, they planted orchards, they had their own produce, and the Biales, would make extra money by selling their produce and eggs. Biales were really known in town as that's where you get your farm eggs. So shortly after they moved down, Pietro found a better job working out at Sars Canyon, and tragically, in 1942, he died in a mining explosion, leaving his wife and only child at the age of 14 to become the man of the house. So being the man of the house, he had access to the books. And so he's looking at the books, and he's seeing that we're getting $25 a ton selling grapes to the Napa Valley Co-op. So little known fact about the Napa Valley is that it's about 95% privately owned by growers and farmers. So they in turn sell their grapes as a produce. So they're not winemakers. It's changed a little bit nowadays, but back then everyone just grew grapes to sell to the co-op. Aldo knew how much money they were selling the wine for, and he's like, they're making 700 and they're only giving me 25. How hard can winemaking be? So that harvest, he hedges his bets. He sells all but 1 ton to the co-op, buys a book on how to make wine, and then consults his uncle through letters about how to make wine. So, says he needs to punch down the cap. So that's when you're extracting the color from the skins. So he's looking around for a device, and he finds this old walking stick that his father used to carry around, made out of manzanita, and he uses that to punch down to extract the color. Just things around the house.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I'll tell you a little bit about that
manzanita
stick.
branches in weddings often, so those are super nubby and tendular. They have kind of, very much like kind of a gnarly vine would be. It's very interesting.
And they're beautiful, when the bark comes off, they're actually very beautiful type of wood. So he finishes up harvest, he puts it in barrels. He has 2 barrels. Come springtime, he tastes it, and he thinks it's pretty good, but he needs some advice because he's trying to sell this. So he takes it to the people he trusts the most. He takes it to church, and he pours it to the people at church, and they absolutely love it. And so it gives him the confidence to go to his dad's farm customers, who are all the old Italians in town. So he gathers them all up and he pours them the wine. And they taste it and they say, "Young Aldo, what are you trying to do here?" He says, "Well, if you like it, I'd like to sell it to you." And they said, "Well, how would we let you know that we want to bottle this?" He's like, "Oh, well, we can call up on the party line, which is the old shared phone system, where your nosy neighbors could listen in and try to talk to my grandmother about it." She's like, "Oh, that was my soap opera."
That's funny.
They would just listen to the gossip. They said, "Your nosy neighbors are going to know that you're illegally making and selling wine at the age of 14, and more importantly, that we're buying wine from a minor." So they decided to come up with a code word to use over the party line, and a nod to the fact that the Biales were chicken farmers, and they were all white chickens, that they came up with the term the Black Chicken. So the average phone call to the Biale Ranch was, "Hey Aldo, I'd like 3 dozen eggs, a bushel of plums, a couple vines of tomatoes, a pound of walnuts, and 3 black chicken." And on Friday, Aldo would deliver that.
That's awesome.
The crazy thing about that is that how do you keep a secret? You don't tell
You
anyone.
don't. You don't if it tastes like this.
Well, I'm going to fast forward a couple years to where Aldo's 22. His mother takes him back to Piemonte, Italy, where he meets, courts, falls in love, and asks for the hand in marriage to Clementina in the span of 3 weeks. She was the eldest daughter of a peasant farmer in Piemonte, and here the suave Italian Americans coming to save her from a hard life on the farm. Little did she realize that she was swapping one farm on one side of the world for another farm on the other. But she was a trooper. It took him 6 months to get her over with all the paperwork. And she practiced her English so she could impress her mother-in-law. And when she came over, she fit right in, and they were really happy, hardworking family. And she felt the confidence soon to pick up the phone and take the farm orders. And this gentleman calls and asks for the black chicken, and she then tries to convince the man that she has some very nice white chickens. And he's like, "Aldo just told me he has black chicken. I talked to him yesterday." And so they kept go back and forth. The guy finally, just kind of yells at her and says, "Tell Aldo to call me when he comes in," and slams down the phone. So Clementina's distraught. Like, this isn't, pardon me, there's a car coming.
Hey, like I said, we're an open wine store, where you may get people coming in here too.
For sure.
This isn't like nowadays where you could have just texted Aldo. So she had to wait till he came home, and it was just getting to her. And by the time Aldo walked in the door, she bum rushed him, and she said, "What the hell is a black chicken?" And so Aldo had to come up with this, he had, do I tell her about my illegal business, or, do I lie? So he erred on the side of good judgment, told her the truth, and she goes, "Oh, that's it, that's fine." And so Robert Biale Vinyards was formed in 1991 with 400 cases of Aldo's Vineyard from the property. And but Black Chicken didn't come along until 1999. And it was in 1998, Biale's invited everyone over for dinner after harvest. And Dave Pramick asked Clementina how they met. And she tells the story. And when she told the story about the Black Chicken, the boys just fell about the place because they had always known Aldo had a side business. They never knew the code word because that's how you keep secrets. And so they're like, we gotta name a wine the Black Chicken. And it's
awesome.
It's become our flagship. And so I'm gonna take you over a little bit. And as you know from the earlier, so there's our barn.
That's cool. Dave, where exactly are you in California?
We are in smack dab in the heart of the valley, just north of Napa, within city limits, actually.
Okay.
So what the crazy part is that the home ranch is practically the only vineyard within Napa city limits. So we fight a lot of battles to keep our land there. So
yeah. In fact, I do remember Bob telling me about being right in the city limits last time he was in town. He comes to Pensacola occasionally, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
What I did want to do is I wanted to walk you through the winery where we're going to meet with our winemaker, Tress, and we're going to talk a little bit about the wine.
That's awesome.
Give you a little bit of tour here. Hopefully,
take us on a journey.
Yeah, all right. So obviously there's the front of the winery, constructed in 1995. And we built it kind of as a big barn because in truth, we are farmers and we're not shy of that. So it has a bunch of cupolas up top that open up during the cool evenings to force all the heat through the cupolas and keeps our cost of our electric down. So here you can see the vineyard.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
And now we're coming in on the entrance of our tasting room. And generally, all of our tastings are held outside with heaters. We have a very small actual tasting room inside. So we think that just the natural beauty of the valley is just amazing. And so why not enjoy it?
It really is. What's the temperature there right now?
We just got away from 80 degree temperatures. And we've had this week in the 60s.
Hi.
So this is our winemaker, Tress Goetting, and he'll talk to you about the first wine that we are drinking, which is the Black Chicken. And I just told the story, so you can get into maybe some of the technical stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Tress has been here to 30A festivals and some other festivals in 30A as well, and Rosemary Beach, and so he's familiar with the area. We just saw him, I think we saw each other back in February, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was in February, and
seems like 2 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. After this kind of a year, it's been crazy, but well, hopefully I'll be back sooner than later. I absolutely love it out there, so lucky you guys. I mean, this isn't so bad either. Look behind us.
No, it's so beautiful.
I know. Yeah, we're getting all the fall colors now, and when you drive up the Silverado Trail, it's just like a quilt work of with the vineyards. It's just like a quilt work of patterns of colors. It's just awesome.
I bet.
Yeah, it's just now. We're just now kind of getting into the cold cold season. We've been really lucky this far. In fact, unusually warm up until now. So I'm kind of glad to be wearing my fleece and getting cozy at night. So
I asked what the temperature was because I saw both of you guys had on a little, little fleeces. We are
Yeah.
in tank tops here, still in the
It's
Panhandle,
still a bit humid.
Florida. So that
Yeah.
looks lovely.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's just it's pretty mild, but it's brisk. It's probably at night it's been getting down into the 30s.
Ooh,
Warms up.
that's chilly.
Yeah, but then today it was in the 60s, so it's a huge diurnal shift. But
Yeah,
right.
But it's nice. It's nice. So
well, thank you so much for chiming in and telling us a little bit about the wines. I mean, this is such a treat.
Well, good. So you're drinking. You have the black chicken in your glass now.
Of course we
We have the black chicken.
and I'll
All right.
show everybody home the
Me
label.
too. Me too. It started out pretty full. It was supposed to be a prop, and it's tasted so good. It's just
Yes. Yeah, ours is. We're heavily into ours as well.
There's no shame in that. No shame.
Yeah. No. So the great thing about this wine, one of the great things about it, is that the majority of the black chicken comes from our 2 estate vineyards. So the one that you see right behind us here, right at the winery property, and I think Dave was telling you where we're located in Napa, kind of the south end of Napa Valley. So that's where we are. So this is our winery estate vineyard. And then we have the original Biale Ranch, which is where the black chicken story was born. And I know Coach told you that. So if you can imagine, and that's really only about less than a mile down the road. So it's the 2 estate vineyards are right down in this area. And so those always go into the black chicken. So, and then we kind of layer in other little bits and pieces of the other Napa properties that we source from. But the majority of it is estate, and it's from Oak Knoll, which is why the black chicken is always very consistent. It's not only stylistically, but the aromas and the flavors are pretty tried and true. They're it's going to be what you're in for with the black chicken.
It's consistent.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's your flagship. About how much do you make? How many bottles would you say you make yearly?
Yeah, we make about between 5 and it's been upwards of 7,000 cases of black chicken, but we're usually somewhere closer to 5,000. And that's by far our biggest quantity that we make.
Yeah, that's still not a lot.
No, it's not. So we're small, but we do all of these tiny little vineyard designate, funky little varietals like our Barbera and our Sangiovese and some of these other things that are literally sometimes just a barrel or 2 barrels, and we'll bottle them. So a lot of little lots. So black chicken is the breadwinner, and it is our flagship.
Well, we'll talk about it. I know you want to talk about it, and I do want to hear about it. But tell me a little bit about the whites that you make, because I'm a big. Well, you maybe not know, but I am a big white drinker. So I know you do at least one white, probably more than that.
Yeah, just one. But we.
Oh no. Okay.
We did one, and I'll tell you about it. But we also do rosé at Sangiovese, which is really, really pretty, really nice wine. So, but the white wine is a Greco, so it's an Italian white varietal called Greco. It was originally Greco di Tufo, so it was from the Tufo region in Italy. Well, originally from Greece, right? But did very well in Italy. And we thought it would be fun if we do a white here to do an Italian varietal because of Bob's heritage. And so when we decided to do, and right behind us is where, I don't know if you can see that owl box behind me, but it's literally right where, that's where the Greco is grown. So it's right here. And it's the perfect soil and the perfect climate for white wine. Because our soils here have a lot of clay in them, and it's quite cooler down here in this part of the valley as compared to up north in St. Helena, where it can be 10 degrees warmer. So it does really well. And but we did our homework on which varietal to plant, because we were thinking of Pinot Grigio, we were actually even thinking about some Sauv Blanc maybe, but then we wanted to go into an Italian style, and we looked at other whites, but Greco won, and we love the fact that it's so rare in California and in Napa Valley. We were the only, well, there might be one other producer, but that's it. So it's a tiny little fun project that's very unique. The wine is beautiful.
How long have you been making the white?
That one, the first vintage of that was in 2017.
So not too long.
No, just a few shots at it, and it just gets better and better every year. I'm kind of figuring out how to treat it.
Yeah.
And one fun thing with that one is I ferment a good part of it into an Italian clay amphora type vessel. And,
that's interesting.
Oh, it's really, really good. So I keep part of it in oak, part of it in stainless, and part of it in the clay. And then
That's super cool.
That's fun. And to taste the differences as they ferment, it's really neat.
Yeah.
But they
Tress, if you could talk a little bit about what makes Biale Zinfandel unique to Napa, because I think a lot of people aren't equating Zinfandel to Napa, and maybe even just talk a little bit about the winemaking methodology and philosophy there, because people don't expect Zinfandel from Napa. If you could talk a little bit about that in regards to the Black Chicken.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass it over to Tress, but Zinfandel is a California state grape, and a little known fact that there was something called the Paris Judgment Tasting in 1977. That prior to that, Napa was predominantly planted to Zinfandel and Petit Syrah, and there was only about prior to the 90s, like the big five wineries like Krug, Behringer, Mondavi. What was the other ones? Oh, the big guys.
Martini.
Yeah. Martini. And if you're a farmer, you're going to plant whatever brings in the most dollar. So after that, there was such excitement, and Cab brings in such a higher dollar, that up went all the Zin, and in went all the Cabernet and Chardonnay. And one of the things that, I find, to my heart, is that the Biales refused to rip out their Zinfandel at that time, because this is what Aldo grew up farming. This is what Bob grew up farming. This is what Bob's son grew up farming. And so, keeping this multi-generation family thing alive, and because of our devotion to Zinfandel, we've kind of created a little niche, because people come to the valley and they want something other than Cab, and everyone's just like, you got to go to Biale. So it's great.
I love that. Yeah. That's really smart, and you're keeping to yourself. And I think that's like for every business, that whatever you're successful in is what's your passion and what, what you're true to. And so kudos to that.
Yeah. And the story, the story of Black Chicken, that's amazing, and call the party line, code word, Black Chicken, like literally all week. That's like been my mantra. And I think that's so fascinating and beautiful to highlight, a story of how a family survived a time that was catastrophic for so many, and coming out of Prohibition through the Depression, and how they, not only sold their produce and their eggs and maintained their farm, but it was also
they illegally sold wine.
They literally sold their wine, whether, whatever the variances of the story of when it started and when it actually got going, that it's irrelevant to me. It's exciting and fascinating. To be able to highlight how cool is that? Since 1937, code word Black Chicken.
Yeah, and Zinfandel, to me, in regards to California, Zinfandel is more a story about the land and farmers and history. And Cabernet, not to denigrate it, is more a story about maybe evolution, or sort of, how things change and how things morph. But Zinfandel, in regards to California, is about families. It's about farming, and it's about history. in much the same way that Petit Syrah is, or Mataro, or Charbono, and a lot of these really cool grapes that we don't often talk about with California. And I know that Tress and Dave and Bob would say the same thing. Zinfandel is really the heart and soul of California. And it's one of those things that's really unique about what Biale does in regards to where it is. It's not unique in the grand scheme of going back 150 years, but it's unique in a really special way as to how we experience it now.
Yeah, that's exactly why it is the state great, because of that history. So, yeah, you can't deny it. So it's really cool. And I think Dave, is it like it's only like 2% now of the plantings in all of Napa Valley is Zinfandel? So,
really?
Yeah, talk about a niche. That's exactly what we have, and
Yeah.
of that, we're probably getting a big portion of that for our program. So.
Oh yeah.
Tress, can you talk a little bit about how you guys approach treating Zinfandel in Napa and kind of like the oak and everything? Because I think people are expecting certain things out of Cabernet in Napa, and maybe you could talk a little bit about how you guys approach Zinfandel in regards to the terroir and the oak treatment and winemaking.
Yeah, so in general, in a nutshell, I would just say we handle the wine very delicately. We kind of use a Burgundian style. My philosophy on winemaking is very hands-off. It's very minimalistic. Less is more, going for refinement and elegance, and not trying to overwork something and make it something that it's not. And that's the difference when you get these Zinfandels that like punch you in the face with alcohol and jamminess and richness and over extracted and high alcohol, and that's exactly what we're not wanting to do and what we're not doing. And we've created this style through that. But in all honesty, I really do think that's the best way to make this varietal, because it can really express the vineyard way more than people know. It's just as expressive of terroir as Pinot Noir is. So I'll make it like a Pinot Noir. I make it exactly like I make a Pinot Noir for myself, and I make it exactly how we make the Zinfandels, and it really works. So with that, things like picking earlier, of course, so your alcohols are lower, but it's more also about this fresh acidity that you get when you pick earlier. For me, it's all about the acid. These wines need to be fresh and mouth-watering and bright. But the way to keep that fruit is to, we don't use pumps. We're not grinding up the skins and the seeds. We're doing gravity feeding into open top fermenters and doing hand punch downs rather than pumping. So very gentle extraction techniques, pressing a little bit early and letting them finish in barrel with malolactic. And the kinds of barrels, like I use 100% French oak here. And of that, it's usually only about 25% new. So not trying to overpower the oak, but just lift the fruit. I use about 14 to 16 different coopers, so all different producers. So it's like a little spice rack, and I know which coopers work with which varieties and even which vineyards. So things like that. I mean, that really defines our style, and that philosophy shows through that winemaking process. It's a lot of little things that all add up. But we are purposely trying to make it like this.
And it certainly adds up, I would say. And I was just speaking freely on my opinion. It's absolutely delicious.
I like the little spice rack you have. I think that's a neat way to put it.
It's a great way to put it.
Little note.
And also,
Fresh had one of the
I was going to say Go ahead, Dave.
When he came to Biale was he did a barrel trial where we took the chicken and on upwards of 22 different barrels, and then you would invite us down at certain periods to get opinions, and it was very interesting to see that the top 1 through 5 almost everyone had the barrels that Tress liked, but it was just different orders. So the barrel is a very important part, and he did that for 3 years.
5 years.
For 5 years, and you know that. So
I just like the commentary of where we took the chicken. I mean, that's like, where are we taking the chicken, guys? That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Wherever
Do
we
you
want
still
to go.
do party line? There was a party line at one time. Do you still make
Yeah,
the party
so
line one?
we reintroduced Party Line for distribution only. One of the things that I found was that through my travels is that sometimes we'd be going into certain restaurants or wine shops that perhaps the chicken would be the most expensive wine on their list. And so we were also looking for a way to encourage new people new to Biale. And so we introduced a lower price point, about a suggested retail of $25.99, and we released it to about 10 test markets to fantastic results. We've been slowly building that up, but what we hope is that people will try the party line and then say, "Well, wow, this is amazing," and then move on to the black. And then, oh wow, they have single vineyards, and move on to those.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they have a white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call it our
Yeah, and the single vineyards, like for people who are listening who are here local in Florida, we have had a few single vineyards or you know, designated wines such as the R.W. Moore, the Stagecoach Vineyard, and the Old Craft. Those are pretty limited production. You know, I know that we were talking about how much we make of black chicken. That's in and of itself not a lot of cases of wine. And when we get into the single vineyard designates, we get a little, you know, smaller. So if people are looking for some of those things, certainly, you know, call up the shop and ask Charlotte and ask Jessica if we can get some R.W. Moore or Stagecoach, because I think when Tress was talking about how he approaches it in a Burgundian fashion, when you taste some of the single vineyard designates, you're going to see exactly what that means. You're going to taste R.W. Moore or Stagecoach or Craft, and you're going to see a Zinfandel that is markedly different, you know, in a good way from the other ones. And they're going to express themselves in different ways. And that's a really unique and interesting way to experience Zinfandel, which is exceedingly rare in the world of Zinfandel. I would say, and I think Tress and Bob and everybody would agree, that is generally not the way that most people approach Zinfandel. This is the way to experience the fruit and the beauty of Zinfandel in a way that most times you cannot.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because it's exactly what we're trying to do. And I mean, I want you to taste what Stagecoach Vineyard tastes like. I want you to taste what R.W. Moore Vineyard tastes like. I mean, there's a reason we keep all of these things separate and bottle them separately, is because they're all such different animals. And what you're tasting is the soil. And that's the ultimate goal for me. So that's exactly right. And it's hard.
We do have some of the Stagecoach, and right now I think we just maybe have one bottle left, maybe maybe two, but I think just one. So so if anybody is looking for the Stagecoach, I do think we can get more, but we can order it for you. Not sure what vintage we'll get in. We probably have something that's been sitting and aging for a while, which leads me to my next thing that I always harp on, which is ageability and how much I love an aged wine. It's hard to have patience sometimes to put that bottle away, to put it in your cellar, forget about it for a little bit. But there's nothing like, I mean, you can't buy, I mean, you can, but not always, buy a well-aged wine. It's a little more satisfying aging it yourself. And I think these wines that you guys do are certainly wines that can be aged. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you would age these. The Black Chicken, probably.
Yeah, so Dave and I were just whispering to ourselves, because you just reminded me. Yesterday at lunch, we opened up a 2002 Monte Rosso that we made, and it was outstanding, unbelievable. It still had so much life in it. It was a lot of fruit left in it. It was beautiful. And so that just proves it. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that Zin can age for a long time.
No, I think I think these wines are made for aging. I mean, they have not super high alcohol, but enough alcohol to and enough tannins to sustain the years. I think I would love to, and in fact, I probably will, because I've been drinking some. This is probably why this has happened. This last year, I've started drinking all the stuff on my shelf that's aged. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, and it's interesting to see what holds up and what doesn't. And because I'm drinking it, I'm also looking to replace, and I'm like, oh yes, this one, and I'd say for sure, if nobody buys that one that's in the stagecoach,
I'm getting that. That's going in my cellar.
But even like, I mean, the basic black, which is not as a stagecoach, which I'm about to pour for myself.
Yeah, we just poured ours.
I mean, even these are nicely aged.
Before we move on to that, the Black Chicken, it says, you know, just by going by the varietal on the website, it says 5 to 7 years.
So 5 to 7 years is kind of the general rule of thumb for Zinfandel. But a lot of what aging, if you can provide a consistent environment, such as a cellar with consistent temperatures, and also a nod to the winemaker style, you can age it much more. Now, like you said, you open those old wines, and you said some are good, some are bad. We are fortunate to have an opportunity to try a lot of old wines. I'm very honest when I try them. If it tastes like an old shoe, I say it tastes like an old shoe. But other people might say like poison or soy, or but it is wonderful to be able to visit. Though, like you said, it's like history.
It is. Oh, that's a great way to put it.
You think back to what you were doing in 2002.
Yeah.
And for Tress and I, we think about the growing season and the weather that year. And it's amazing to me that, we were sitting up there 2002. We were with Jeff Cohen, another winemaker. And these guys were like, do you remember July 17th? And it was 117 that day. And they're like, oh man, I remember I was eating this.
That's awesome.
Truck. And I'm like, wow, these guys are insane. I mean, they're that connected to what's going on. It's fun.
I love that. Yeah, that's super. This Fix was going to say something. I just think I don't think it's super. It's like, it's history, like you said, but it's also just something that you can't duplicate.
Right.
It's me being patient. It's me enjoying this bottle that has sat in my cellar, and even more so for you guys because you made it.
Yeah, that's.
So what about the basic black? What should we? Let's jump into the basic black and see.
We're getting long in the tooth.
That's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Thanks for keeping this on time.
I am usually not that guy. Believe me.
You're usually not that guy. It's usually me. I'm just rambling on tonight, but so we are having the basic black, and I've got it in my bottle or in my glass right now. Can you tell us the grapes that are in it? Because it is some, like you said, some Italian varietals.
What year are you pouring?
We are
2017.
Yeah. So and the reason Dave asked that is because every year it's slightly different, because the way this wine works, my whole end result goal on this wine is to create as many varietals as possible from all different vineyards in the same vessel as a co-fermentation. And it's really hard to pull off because you have to get very lucky with the weather. Since they're all from different vineyards, they all have to be picked within 2 days of each other. And
really
in 17
days.
I was.
Is this your most challenging wine to make?
Yeah, it is. Which is why I love it.
Sounds like it.
I love making this wine more than any other. that we do here.
It's so
That's
fun
awesome.
to you come in and you say, so what do we got this year? What's in the pot? You know, and then we go over to the pot and we smell. Oh, it smells.
Yeah. So in 17, I was able to get 6 varietals of that one. So Grenache, Syrah, Carignan, Alicante, Early Burgundy, Zinfandel, and Petit Syrah. So those were all co-fermented together. And they were picked within 2 days, co-fermented in one tank. And this is what you get. And it's impossible to replicate this, just like you were saying. For one, I might not ever be able to get those all picked on the same at the same time. But also just the combination of chemical reactions that are happening with all of these different phenolic compounds of all these different varietals that are doing their magic in that tank. It's amazing. It smells so good when it's fermenting, and it's just magical what happens in these.
I can imagine.
Tress, is there a pseudonym for early Burgundy? I can't remember what that is.
It's called Arborio.
Arborio. Okay.
Arborio, yeah, and I think that's what we put on the label. If I can't remember.
No, we put early.
Oh, we do. We put early Burgundy, but it is.
And then is there like a Rhone influence to kind of the winemaking or the approach there with some of those varietals that are kind of similar to a Rhone varietal and how co-fermentation works? And I mean, is there any like thought about that or at all, or kind of an influence there?
Yeah, I mean, I when I used to make Syrah, I used to like try to mimic Southern Rhone style, you know, and you know, for me that means, you know, but in all honesty, I'm not really doing too much to the wine to purposely make it in a Rhone style, other than the barrel choices are probably the biggest thing. The co-fermentation is another Rhone style thing. So yeah, in those regards, but otherwise those varieties are just giving their character, and those just happen to be kind of old world characters. They're earthy, they're kind of phenolic and dark, intense, and you know, just enough kind of nuance of like old world style, but still very California. It's very fruit forward, but
the field blend is very important to, I think, what this means as far as being historically Californian. You know, there's some other winemakers out there, you know, Morgan Peterson and some other people who are making these sort of classical California blends. I mean, can you talk a little bit about maybe what this field blend means to classically Californian wines? Because this is, to me, almost a classically Californian wine in the same way that Black Chicken is, but it represents a different viewpoint, or a different, you know, a cousin to it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this basic black is essentially a field blend that's done in the tank rather than in the field. So rather than, so like I said, I source all of these different varietals from different vineyards and then put them together in the tank. Whereas a field blend, a true field blend, is such as a lot of our old vine Zinfandel plantings. There's scatterings of all of these varietals that are in here in the vineyard already. So, for example, when we pick the Pagani Ranch, it's got probably close to 20% other mixed blacks in there besides Zinfandel, but we call it Zinfandel. And we pick it all at once and we co-ferment it all at once. So it's like this in the end. It's a big co-fermentation, but we're not picking them separately and putting them together. We're just picking it all together. And you know, the field blends are a classic example of how the Italian immigrants planted their vineyards back in the mid 1800s. They planted them that way purposefully because that's how they did it back home. And they were trying to get the field in balance so that you would have some early ripening things and some late ripening things, so that if the weather went wrong, you could hedge your bets on getting some good wine still. So
makes sense.
You could put the late ripening stuff up on the hill and the slower stuff down in the swale where it's cool. and it all kind of balances itself out. So it's really cool. That's a whole topic. It's really a huge part of what we do, because a lot of our Zen vineyards are field blends.
So also, I don't know if Charlotte and Jessica had this in mind, because we are featuring Biale Black Chicken on the Thanksgiving box, but maybe you guys could talk a little bit about not just black chicken, but also basic black, and what kind of foods you guys think would go well with these.
I'll let the chef talk about that.
Yes.
So
Fix, you kind of took the words out of my mouth.
I know. We're
was
always
so,
about the food, so
you know, Jessica likes to eat.
I know, we're always talking about food. So,
So
yeah.
what do we want to pair
So
this
Coach,
with?
Us
so
too.
Coach, tell us what we're going to be eating with the black chicken in our Thanksgiving holiday box.
that's fantastic. I'm happy to hear. Yeah, I actually spend probably about 75% of my day just dreaming about food.
Same.
Zinfandel is actually is very versatile in the kitchen. You know, mostly right off the bat, you know, the Italian, the pasta, the tomato sauce, the acidity, wonderful with any barbecued meats. We did this lovely dinner at a steakhouse where they did a duck with 5 spice, and it just paired so amazingly with the Aldo's vineyard. I mean, I was stunned. You know, I was like, I just wanted to sit there all night and savor.
Yeah.
And the basic black, I think it's such a classic wine that it can go with almost anything that you have on the table.
Oh, it's delicious. Yeah.
There's so many different flavors going on, and they come together so well. Like we were talking earlier about that big pot, you know, where all the different varietals are blended together, and you know, it's kind of like that slow simmer on your stove.
A stew.
And stew, and you know, it's just so fun. The other thing that lately I've been seeing a lot of people pairing Zinfandel with Chinese food. The spicy.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard that.
I was just going to say, on a non-Thanksgiving standpoint, like if we're not talking about that palette or menu, to me, my father made paella. And he had, his first wife was Peruvian. And so we grew up in a home where he prepared paella. And I absolutely feel like this would be so beautiful with those, like all those elements in that dish that, you know, whether it was chicken and sausage or you know, like had all the elements of the mussels and sausage and the seafood. I could so see that there, but I totally feel like this could pair well beautifully with, obviously, because we have it included in your Thanksgiving box, with the elements of your Thanksgiving table.
I'm going to call it for your Thanksgiving table. And we do it a lot here. I don't know if you guys do it out there.
Do it.
But the fried turkey.
Yes.
A fried turkey, because it's like super like spicy, because you got to inject it with, I don't know how you guys eat your turkey out there. You made it the regular way, which is baked. But here we fry our turkey. We inject it with spices.
We do all kinds of stuff. We have a turducken. We got a chicken and stuff.
We have crazy here in the South.
We're Southern. I mean, you know, we're right next to Louisiana.
Listen, I'm from New York. I have never had fried turkey before, but you know.
What about you? But
no, that's fine. You know, that's fine. But I'm just saying we do it here, and so it is in your box, and this is going to go great with super injected fried turkey.
But if you want to have like a really cool thing, thinking ahead to Christmas or even to Thanksgiving, my wife and I were talking about what do we want to do for Thanksgiving this year, and we're thinking let's do something completely different, and we were talking about doing lasagna and like an Italianate, because I'm an Italian American. We were thinking about doing like a garlic studded beef tenderloin and then doing a lasagna with it for Thanksgiving, which no Thanksgiving-y things at all. These two wines would be absolutely immaculate for like a garlic studded tenderloin with some lasagna on the side. Like there's no doubt about it.
Oh,
100%.
And what you were saying about the paella, it's funny that you said that because we actually, didn't do it this year, but we do an event called Petite Sirah and Paella, and we bring a guy out and it's that huge, fried,
Yes, the big pans.
and they're stirring it with like oars, and it's just.
Totally.
Don't bring a guy out now. Just bring Jessica and I'll come out.
Yeah.
It's like paella is like a theme now. Now everybody should do paella because we had Julie Johnson on several months ago, and she does a paella festival in Rutherford, at the vineyard there where she does her pomegranate and paella. So now paella is like a thing. So clearly in the experience now it's in
Perhaps
Napa with us. It's
we need to have a grand tour of wine and paella. That's what I think. It should be a California tour of paella and wine. I'm not mad about it. I don't think anybody could be mad about it.
We're in.
But back to
Well, I mean, we've talked for over an hour, and I really appreciate you guys. Like, I feel like we could talk for another hour more. I feel like we've just scratched the surface. We really didn't even talk about all the technical stuff. Like, so much stuff.
We'll have to do another one because I do have a 5 o'clock that I have to get to, so I have to run. But
wow.
Please.
We'll do another one, and you have a 5 o'clock, and we have a dinner o'clock, home o'clock to get to.
That sounds awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's do another one. Not sure when, or maybe you guys come here, maybe we'll come there. We'll see where the paella ends up.
Well, before we go, I just want to say, for those of you guys who are watching, thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for having us on. We have a Facebook and Instagram that I would love for you guys to come and see.
Oh, yeah.
Maura, who's in charge of that, does such a wonderful job, and there's so much information. There's so much information on that site, and just in fun stuff. We're doing the 12 days of Zen right now, where you guess what vineyard. And, so it's a lot of fun engagement there. And you can always find out what's going on at Biale by tuning in and joining those sites. And we're so happy. We miss traveling to see you guys. We really do.
We miss traveling to see you.
I know.
So
can't wait to come out and give you guys
I know. Thank you. It's so nice to see everybody's faces, and we hope that we can travel there. You can travel here soon.
Definitely.
And definitely everybody check out their Instagram, Facebook stuff, because you guys are doing some cool giveaways too right now.
That's right.
So
the 12 days of Zen.
Yeah. So definitely check that out. Thank you guys so much. And
absolutely. We'll
Cheers.
bid you adieu, but
have
thank
a great
you.
Thanksgiving and great holiday season.
yes, cheers. Happy holidays, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Say hi to Bob.
Okay, so Fix, that was incredible.
That was awesome.
Little known fact is that my first red wine that I ever drank was Zen.
Oh.
When I was a young girl, I loved the Ravenswood Zen. You could buy it.
I remember that.
Ravenswood.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the first wineries that I ever went to. It's in Sonoma. It got Joel Peterson.
Joel Peterson.
Mm-hmm. And he, oh my God, I hear my dog at the door. So anyway, Zen is near and dear to my heart. It's my very first red wine that I ever drank. And so this has been a super special thing to me. So next week, though, we have Beaujolais.
Zinfandel is same with me. It was the first wine I bonded with my in-laws, my future in-laws over, was Zinfandel. They thought I was ordering. Puy Fusé?
Yeah.
Wow, you fancy.
Well, aren't you fancy?
Well, I ordered Zinfandel at a dinner with my future in-laws.
Pull a kid, he's remarried, so
There you go.
our first
My in-laws thought I was ordering white Zinfandel when I ordered Zinfandel, and they looked down on me, and then until the red wine came to the table, and then they went, "Oh, thank God." And it became,
I know, right?
it's a story that has perpetuated for 20 years or 15 years now because they thought I was ordering white Zinfandel at a steakhouse, but it was actually a bottle of Rombauer Zinfandel. So Charlotte and I have that in common.
Back in the day, people thought that they were like, oh, Zin. They were like, is it red or pink? And I was like, really? Yeah. So there was that pink Zin. But so next week we are doing Beaujolais. We've got, wait, here's my dog.
Here's the puppy.
So we're doing a Beaujolais, a bubbly Beaujolais, and then a Beaujolais Village. Getting ready for the Beaujolais Nouveau
Yes.
experience that's coming after that. So
The bottle
everybody
says
thinks,
effervescence on it, and it sounds so exciting.
get off her. So the Beaujolais, people think Beaujolais, and sometimes they think everything thinks Beaujolais Nouveau, but there's many Beaujolais. There's Cru Beaujolais. There are other less than Cru Beaujolais, and then there's Beaujolais Nouveau. So that's what we're doing next week. Fix, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Beaujolais Village?
Yeah, so we have Beaujolais Nouveau coming in. We're thinking maybe the end of next week. You know, with COVID, there's some things that have been a little difficult to get from France, and things are set back a little bit. But we have Domaine du Peb, and we're featuring Kermit Lynch wines here. So Kermit Lynch is one of the premier importers of French wine in the United States. His Beaujolais Nouveau that he imports is arguably the best that money can buy, which we've done every year here for several years in a row. A lot of people are used to getting their Beaujolais Nouveau and being, I think, a little disappointed by it. But this is the Domaine du Peb Beaujolais Nouveau is, I think, the best that you can get. And we're going to try their Village wine. That's their year-round offering. Right, Francois? And then we're also going to have Nicole Champignon, bubbly effervescence. So it's a Beaujolais, a sparkling Beaujolais.
We're gonna have her.
Well, no, we're not going to have Nicole. No, unfortunately, we're going to have Kermit Lynch, which is it's a small select group of people who are extremely intelligent and are the best of their kind at importing French wine and Italian and some other areas. But we're going to have somebody from Kermit Lynch here, and anybody who's really into French wines from the Rhone, from Burgundy, Beaujolais, Champagne, Vendôme. This is a classic importer of some of the best wines, really in the country. And the other thing that we've been talking about in these tastings for the last 6 months is family-owned wineries.
Yes.
And Kermit and his, his importing company has always been really into and really focusing on working with individual small family grower producers. And Champignon is one of those. De Peb is one of those. Some people might know Domaine Pompier, which is one of the most famous wines in the world. The matriarch Lulu just passed away not too long ago. She was 104 or 105, I think. Somewhere. I'm sorry if anybody's listening. I'm a couple years off, maybe. But Kermit has been working with these small families for a long time. So when you buy Beaujolais like this, you are getting something that is just like with Biale, like we just talked about. It's a family. They've had their hands, feet, and nose in this winery and in these grapes and these wines for decades. So it's really worth it.
It's fascinating to sit and speak with people that, literally that family has been involved with Biale wines since 1937.
Since Prohibition. I know.
It's beyond Prohibition. It's beautiful to see those stories come to life. And then I feel like you feel the life and vibrancy of the families in the wine to me.
Yeah.
I tune into the stories and I love the stories. And I think you said this to me, Michael, months ago now. You said, the stories, I said, oh, God, the stories fascinate me. That's why I love it so much. You were like, that's why we're in wine.
Yeah.
The stories are fascinating. They're brilliant and they're beautiful. And
it's really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are at our hour.
Yes.
We've got
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you so
oh my
much.
God, it was so heavy. He's getting so big.
He is indeed. Next
It's almost
week.
a year. He'll be a year next month. So, yeah. So you guys got the wines that we're doing next week. We're doing a Beaujolais Bubbly, which I've never tried myself, and I'm super excited to try.
So excited.
We're doing the Kermit Lynch Beaujolais Village, and we'll have somebody from Kermit Lynch joining us. Unfortunately, Michael Fix was got a prior engagement. But I think we'll be able to handle it without him, and because we'll have somebody from Kermit Lynch joining us.
Right.
So thanks, Fix, for tuning in, and we will see you next time. All right, guys. So don't forget, order your Thanksgiving boxes.
Yes.
They're
Or
already.
any mixed case of wine. If you need a mixed case of reds, like we talked
Yeah,
about
you
earlier.
can do it. If
we
you
can
don't want
totally
to
take
do, if
care
you
of
don't
that.
want to do a Thanksgiving box, which I think you should do a
You should
Thanksgiving
really
box
do
because
box.
it's pretty cool.
It's so
but
great.
if you don't want to, we can still customize boxes. And also we do have Beaujolais Nouveau coming in that we are taking orders for. We've got so much coming in, and when it's gone, it's gone. So if you want to go ahead and reserve something,
Pre-order.
let us know.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, well, I guess
Au revoir.
that's it.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.